Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. I apologize for being late with this video. I'm trying to do at least a video a week, but we've had company and some other things going on, so I didn't quite make that happen. I'll be working in the book Dowdler Doodles, National Parks. If you're unfamiliar with the artist, his name is Eric Dowdle, and he is a folk artist. You can find a lot of his artwork in puzzle form. My husband surprised me with this book last year when on vacation in Moab, Utah. It's a beautiful book featuring his paintings of national parks. I love his style. The clouds and trees look very bubbly, is how I would describe it. I try to stay as close to the actual picture as I can. There are a lot of tiny little objects, and that can be a little overwhelming. All right, I'll be working on this page, Independence Hall, and the little title at the bottom says, often called the birthplace of the Constitution, Independence Hall is where both the United States Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution were debuted and adopted. I actually started this one on July 4th, and I guess you can say I was influenced by the celebration of the day. I'll be using Prisma Color pencils, and I'll be trying to match the colors as closely as I can. So here are the trees. You can kind of see the texture, that bubbly kind of texture I was talking about. Okay, so let me move this so you can see all of it in the frame here. So on the left is Eric Dowdle's artwork, and then on the right is going to be the coloring page. And again, here are the colors I'll be using. If I add additional colors, I will put those down in the description below. Okay, I'm going to scoot this over just a little bit, but as I'm coloring, I still want you to be able to see the original artwork on the left side. Okay, so I'm going to start with the tree trunks. Always start with something that you can definitely make out the shape. Some of these books have really tiny details and it can be hard to decipher what shape goes with what. So I think the tree trunks will be the easiest to kind of decipher and to look for first. So I'm going to speed up the video now, and I'm just starting with my darkest shadow color first. So I'm looking at my reference on the other side, looking to see where the shadows are, and I will carry that through all the trunks. So I put harder pressure on the very edge and then work that color a little bit lighter going towards the center of the trunk. My next color is going to be this kind of burnt orange color, and I'm just working my way into that shadow color more towards the middle. And then I'm taking the lighter, like a lighter highlight shade, which is going to be a yellow, golden yellow color, and I just work in between those three colors. So I blend the medium color first, and then a little bit of the yellow for the highlight, and then I just start blending all those three colors until I get the right look. And then I'll even take a dark gray color and help with that dark shadow for more contrast. All right, all done with the trees, and now on to the balloons. Okay, for the red balloons, I'm going to start with kind of just a base shade of red. This is kind of a more intense red color. So I'm starting out really lightly, and I'm just thinking about the top left corner of the balloon as going to be my highlight. So I'm, doing a kind of a base coat all the way around, but doing a little bit heavier around the edges and the bottom part of the balloon. And then I'm going to take this dark raspberry color, and this is going to be my shadow. So there's just kind of a little stripe down at the bottom, and then I'll blend that with that first red color and add a little bit more contrast shadow there, and just kind of keep working that along. And then I'll add a little bit of white Posca for that bright white highlight. I'll also take, on some of the balloons, a more kind of reddish orange color, just to kind of brighten some of that red up too. So still starting with that regular red, and then adding more of that raspberry color, and then blending those colors together. All right, for the white balloons, it's going to be 2 shades of blue, actually. It's a light blue and then kind of a medium blue. And then for the blue balloons, I'll start out with my shadow, a really dark navy blue, and then take a really light blue and blend that around, again leaving that top left-hand corner white, and then again adding the Posca for your highlight. All right, I'm going to finish up a few more of these, and then I'll finish all of the balloons off camera and show you kind of the different stages of the balloons as I go through. Okay, next I'll be working on the greenery on the trees. So I use 3 to 4 different shades of green. So the first stage is the really light highlight shade at the very top part of each little bunch of leaves. And then I'll do kind of a medium to dark green at the bottom and blend those two together. And then I'm going to take more of a light to medium green and blend the light to medium shade together. And then I'll take a really dark green, my darkest green, as my shadow, do that down at the bottom. And I'm just going to kind of play around with the highlight shade and that light medium shade to blend all those colors together. But I'm looking for a really bright highlight at the top and a darker shadow at the bottom. I later go in and add an even darker, like a dark gray to the darker areas, just to give it more contrast. I'll continue a few more of these, just so you can see me doing them at, this is obviously a sped up version. And then I'll finish off camera and show you the different stages. Okay, so here's the right side, all with the highlight. And then the medium tones. Some more medium tones. Darker shadows. More blending. And then on to the left side. So highlight, medium tones. More medium tones, blending with the highlight, and then starting to add the shadows and more shadows. And in this one I started some of the grass down below. Same concept, highlight and shadow. Okay, now for the clouds, I apologize. I started to do the first ones and then realized I wasn't recording. So I'll show you guys over here behind these trees. The clouds are these very bubbly, circular looking clouds in shades of blues and purples. So you kind of have to mark out where the little center of your circle is, the highlight, and leave that white. And then I go around with a very light blue around that little circle, and I continue to build those colors up. So it goes to a light blue and then to a more purpley blue. And it can get kind of tricky behind the trees, and sometimes the artist or the print of the coloring book page doesn't have all the lines in there like on the original artwork. So sometimes you have to just add if you need to. And I'm just really blending all those colors together. So I'm still wanting to show that dark purple on the outside, but I take that lighter blue and I kind of help blend some of those mid-tones together. And it gets a little tricky in between these tight little tree branches and leaves. Okay, I'm going to start the sky, and as you can see on the original page, towards the bottom of the page or the roof line, it starts as like a teal color, and as it goes up the page, it goes into a nice kind of deep blue. So I'm going to start with a teal color down here at the around these branches, and I'm starting dark pressure or hard pressure and going to light pressure, and then I'm going to use that kind of chartreuse green right at the base there and then work that into the teal. And then I'll take this darker teal color just to give a little bit more intense teal to that upper section, because it's going to start blending into a blue color. So I can go back and forth between that chartreuse green and that teal to help blend. And then you get that nice kind of like golden glow down there. Okay, and then in this section, we don't see the bottom or close to that roof line. So I'm just going to go back and forth between a teal, a blue, and then a darker blue. All right, so I'm going to jump to the top of the page and I'm going to start working on the darker blue. And I can see I'm just going to have to get through all these little branches and the leaves. Excuse my head. I wear a visor because the light is so bright, but I also have to get in really close. My eyesight's not the best, so I'm trying to bend over and see all these little details here. Okay, so here's the finished sky. So as you can see, it goes to that kind of really light teal color all the way up to a nice deep blue. And you can really start to see the clouds and the definition of the trees now. Okay, so I'm going to start doing some of the other little details in the building. This is part of the clock, a nice teal color. And this little statue will also have some teals, but also this mint green color. All right, for my gold accents, my brighter color will be a nice kind of tangerine orange color. And then my mid-tone is going to be this burnt orange color. And then I have for my shadow a dark brown. So I kind of play around with all those three colors. And sometimes I come in with a dark gray and just kind of add to those shadows and the texture too. It's hard to tell on the video, but I do add a few little lines into those little brick details of the gold dome. Okay, for the top of the building, it is going to be this pale yellow. Also, this color will be for some of the moldings and little trim work around windows and doors, and along the roof line, wherever there's like any white areas is going to be this pale yellow. Okay, next for the shadows, I'm taking a bit like a light beige color and just working it through some of those darker shadow areas. For my darkest shadow areas, I'm going to use a combination of a light purple, almost lavender, and then a medium gray. So I try to dole out the purple and put like a layer of gray on top of it. And that way it's not too purpley. All right, so I finished up the center part of the brick of the building, and I'll show you up close here a little bit how I did the brick. So I'm going to start off with this burnt orange color and just kind of do a base coat. I'm coloring in a more horizontal direction. That way, hopefully I can kind of mimic the texture of the way the brick design is. And then I'm going to use a darker brown, and I'm just going to kind of come in to where the shadows would be along the edges and concentrating more underneath the stonework. And then I'm going to mix in a little bit of the golden yellow color and some more kind of reddish orange tones. And then I take a really dark brown and I'm just doing these little dashed lines for my darker bricks. and that helps add the texture too. Okay, so here it is, all of the brick completed. All right, and now I'm going to show you how I did the flags. So I did all of the other flags and left this one up front here to show you. So you want to look at the way the flag is shaped. So I'm going to start with my red stripes, and I'm going to do the very bottom here, and I'm just going to follow along the shape of the bottom of that flag. Leave a little white line for the white stripe. And again, I'm trying to kind of mimic that same shape that the flag is waving. So it's kind of got a little curve on the left and then a giant curve on the right. So I'll continue to do that for all the stripes. And then I'm going to take that dark raspberry color, and I'm just in this little crease here where the flag is bent. I'm going to add that little bit of a shadow right in there. And then I'm going to take a blue, kind of a medium shade blue, and this is going to be my shadow. So just real lightly, I'm not pressing hard, some of the shadow areas. So right here on the top part of that curve, and then inside that crease. All right, so off camera, I went ahead and finished all the little people and the groundwork. There was a lot of little details, so I wouldn't want to put you through all of that. Next, I'm actually wanting to add more texture to the leaves of the trees. So I'm taking a little bit of gouache, and I just want kind of that bright yellowish green tone at the very top part of each of those little sections of leaves. So I'm just adding these little dots of color, hoping to kind of recreate that look that he made. All right, here's that completed. And then I actually thought it needed to be a little bit darker at the bottom. So I'm gonna take a dark green gouache now, and I'm just gonna add those little texture dots at the bottom of each of those little sections. Okay, finally done. That took much longer than I thought it was gonna take. So comparing it to the original, I think it's very close. I think mine has a much brighter look, lighter colors, where his is a little bit darker with more muted tones in some of the areas. Overall though, I think it was a fun challenge to try to copy an original piece of work. Thanks for watching and happy coloring!